And here we are for another episode of Neurodiversity, eliminating kryptonite and enabling superheroes. And I'm joined today by Rory, who I had the pleasure of chatting with recently. And I was fascinated by his experiences, the work that he's doing. And I just had to get him on to share some of that cool stuff with you. Rory, welcome. How you doing?
I'm good. Cheers, Theo. How's it going? You good?
Amazing. It's the sun's not quite shining, but I'm happy anyway. Rory, do you want to let people know who you are, what you're about, a little bit about your background, your experiences?
Sure. My name's Rory Lemon, and I go by Rory LemonAid online because AID. So that's to support and help, and that's because I am an osteopath and health coach. And I specifically work with somatic coaching, which helps. It's a bit like the theory of osteopathy around the mind affecting the body and the holistic approach to health and hands-on body work. But then the health coaching is kind of like the mind work. So it's helping someone defragment their brain, and get connected to their body, and then you find out some amazing things. You find out that once they've cleared some of their backstory or their beliefs, tidying their brain up, then they connect to their other brains and their body, then they really there's some wonders happen. They become more present, and then they stop buying into the story and realizing the story connects to the symptoms that they feel. It's like, wow, no hands and symptoms can change. Can't make promises, but it's like one of those things that it's all a matter of exploration at this point with coaching, and that's what it's about anyway, to be just allow emergent factors to occur. So I became an osteopath in 2014. I was a massage therapist before then, or for 8-9 years, and I was into music before then.
Amazing. And they're nice interconnected pieces, right? When we think around music, the way music connects with the brain in ways that kind of other things don't. Music, and they say one of the best things you get into later life is to learn a musical instrument, right? To keep the brain working really hard. And one of my early passions was playing the saxophone, as well as drama, movement. So it's funny because I've been thinking a lot about this lately, which is why it was really interesting when we connected. I see it in myself, in the way that I treat my body, my mind, what I eat, and my frame of mind on a particular day. They all are interlinked. Getting out into the wider spaces and being able to enjoy the outside world, but also through my child and their experiences, and working with them to kind of get over some of their challenges. And you find there's very certain things that really work well for them. So on that basis, Rory, tell us, if we're thinking from a neurodiverse lens perspective, why is this so important? Why can it make a real difference for somebody who is neurodiverse, neurodivergent?
Of course. So my reference to it all is that I discovered I was dyslexic when I was 33 studying osteopathy. And the point being that 30 years or however how long, I thought I couldn't necessarily converse very well in groups, and felt very introverted even, and I just believed I kind of was, and I believed that I wasn't academic, and but actually then realizing that academia is half about reflective practice and building on ideas and in your own time, and then half of it's exams and all that sort of stuff, and grades on comparing between people, and that's where I found that very confusing. So the point being that going forwards from there, when I did a personality test between the first year of study when I found out about dyslexia, and then I did 2 years later I did another one, and my personality went from introverted to extroverted, as a tagline, or as a so it was really interesting to go, oh, hang on, there's this person that wants to share and get out, and it was just more what I noticed was the fact that I started studying more language. I got better at language. I could recall language. I went from getting tired about reading through to being able to speed read and let go and speed read. So it just showed how, because I was learning about how the brain works as well, the neurophysiology and stuff like that, and where parts of the structures of the brain work, which ones may be slower, and I just thought, well, I've got to get through this course. So I just did it, and it was a struggle, and I had to keep reminding tutors how my brain works, and because otherwise they lay down, oh, why is he being like this as compared to all neurotypical? And I just think that's another concept that's a bit interesting. It's more of a study rather than a person. And that's where I started to think about how to even start reframing it functionally. So for me, it's important to go, yes, there's diversity, and there's things that fall into the typical bracket. And even there could be, even a label of neurodiverse, like ADHD, is found to be typical of the ADHD label, and so therefore it's just labeling, or it's either, are we the same or are we different? And that's where we all get caught up in the either or mentality, the self-judgment, and all that stuff is like, it's just we don't even realize we're catching ourselves going, oh, I wish I was the same as that person, or I wish I was different, or I wish I was not different. I wish I could fit into society. All this kind of stuff we're just putting on ourselves, and I'm just really coming from the point of view of what about, let's just look at what I call a unique learning ability, which is that doesn't matter whether we fall into brackets of same or different. If we can access our uniqueness, if we can access our best learning ability for applying for whatever situation we're in, and there could be a roadmap for that. How can we just look at different learning styles, work out where we uniquely work best, and apply that in the situations we're in, using tools and techniques to step outside of the comparing and the judgment that we've got ourselves in. And then how do we create going forwards from there? And it's about creation.
I think so. I think one of the big challenges that a lot of us have is the diagnostic model is a problem anyway, right? But it's also the bigger problem for a lot of us is we don't have the diagnosis, or we have a diagnosis, and therefore that can add extra complexity to us understanding who we are, what we're about, and then all these barriers that have been put in place. Some of them psychological, some of them physical barriers, emotional barriers. We find it difficult to get rid of them, to move them to one side, because we don't fully understand them or see them. And then we think they're an innate part of us. That the barrier is us. Like there is no barrier. I just can't do it. When natural fact, I can do it. I just need to move this barrier out of the way. And the minute I understand what that barrier is, then I'm able to shift it, or at least start to circumvent it or climb over it, right? Because I can now see it. And so many people with late diagnosis or late understanding or association with ND, I think this is the issue that they're struggling with now. They're like, all right, okay, I see my daughter or my friend or whoever who I associate with, or I've seen a video on TikTok and I go, that's me. But then, although I go, that's me, and can laugh at it a bit, going, I struggle with that, I then don't know how to get over it or to move around it or to deal with it. And therefore, it can become an even greater weight to my mental health and well-being, because now I'm visibly aware of it, psychologically, physically, emotionally aware of it. That can actually have a detrimental negative impact on my mental health and well-being as well. Not just, I know, now everything's better, because of course it's not, right? So the work you're doing on that basis, I think, is really, really important at a point of greater realization and understanding that our brains are very unique and work very differently, and that there's barriers being put in place to allowing our brains and our bodies to work in a way that they want to.
Yes, absolutely, Theo. And what I got from what you said there was like, what's important is it is important to have a reference point, and that's why our brains are finding patterns and reference points all the time. And it's okay to label that reference point, but it's not okay to then, it's not fixed. It's just I see similarities in this, I see differences in this, and then what's possible how do we just create the best way of dealing with anything going forwards, and that's it's okay to label, it's okay to reference, and it's okay then to let go. And it's what I call the difference between planning and letting go, and you need both. Some people are really good at planning, but then they get stuck in the planning, and they can't handle any kind of chaos that comes in to change that plan. And that's what happens all the time with everything. And so they're constantly going, why I'm just trying to fix this. It's kind of like the OCD mentality, which again, give an OCD the right fitting, the right job, the right direction. They can make details and all of that kind of attention to focus and details, and that's amazing. And then maybe they might need to train themselves in letting go, gradually. And it's like, whatever you're not necessarily good at might be the thing that you need to get to study to see the other side of things. And then we start to see what's possible to change and not be fixed on it. And then the opposite side of that is letting go. And that's almost like just like, I can't handle everything. I'm just going to let go for a moment, or letting go, you start to see patterns, bigger pictures, which I kind of had to. That's what I happen to. I think that's what maybe dyslexics are good at, because they don't feel like they can process information in or out quickly, so they disconnect and then just see a bigger picture. And then go, oh, that bigger picture, I wish I could know how to explain that. And then they spend ages working out how to explain their view of the world, and it takes them ages, and it takes them a long time. So that's just, and again, it's like letting go is important, but then if you don't plan anything, you never get anything done that's focused and important. So that's just two elements as to how, our brains can work and what we can do to learn the opposite thing, but as soon as we see it is a big picture of this other side, it's like, I'm not that, I can't do that, and then freeze or whatever. And it's about going possible to learn. That's the unique learning ability. Learning is about absorbing bit by bit, not trying to do the whole thing all at once.
And I think what's important there is, I think sometimes people come in and out of feeling like they've got ability in an environment, in a team, in an area, because they may have somebody who naturally plugs that gap within a team for them. They may have a manager who's very supportive and therefore is very understanding of some of these challenges, therefore orchestrates the role, the environment, the way that they work in a way that is conducive to their working and learning style. It's when that changes, and like you've just said, which is the norm, like the disruption, organizations are transforming at a rapid rate. The world is transforming. The environment we live in is transforming. Stuff's getting hotter. It's getting colder. It's, the chaos is at its most severe that we could ever imagine in terms of our lives. Therefore, this is not going to disappear, right? And probably more so why more people are putting their hand up and going, actually, I'm struggling. So it's not enough, I think, just to keep hoping that you fall into the right team with the right person. I think being able to understand that about yourself will protect you to be able to ensure that you don't find yourself burning out in a situation that you can't control. Because I find that they're the scariest things for me, situations I can't control. And it's not like a big thing, like I'm on a roller coaster that I can't control. I literally, like somebody controlling the conversation intensely, and I'm in a room that I can't get out of, and I can't stand up and I can't walk around, and therefore I can't stop it. Like tension and like brain and body all go like they like pull like an elastic band that's almost about to snap. So if we can't understand what's going on there, we'll keep snapping, right? And I think that's a big lesson, and I guess through your lived experience now, through your journey of the work that you've done and your own journey, is what you're now able to support others with achieving, is getting to that space of understanding, not just around the mind, but the body and the soul and the whole piece.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's that whole thing around what I studied, what I found really helped me was a program called Positive Intelligence. It's around understanding how to be mentally fit or work on mental fitness. And that just allows the space, starts creating space. It's not just about, going off and relaxing, but it's about how do we bring space, presence. As soon as we're able to bring space and presence to our challenges, as soon as we hit a challenge, we might go, oh, got to go over here and relax again. But actually, we've got to work on preempting when the challenges might occur, and then going to be present and relaxed until the answers come in the challenge. And that's where it's where we bring in like the mindfulness piece, or we wouldn't call it, but it's around how we preempt the challenges and bring what's possible to that challenge in bite-sized pieces or relaxation, and realizing that we can feel the stress that comes up for us if we're triggered in that moment, and just feel it. And then it's understanding these like mental weights that we're trying to lift, and they might be too big for us. And again, that comes back to how we learn, and to know that we can break down whatever challenges we have. Maybe it's with another person or a circumstance that keeps coming into our lives, or just self-judgment, self-worth around something that comes in, and we go, okay, right, that's going to happen. So if I imagine myself in that space, what can I do to keep myself from just, like, say, the tension building up? Right, and then I've just got to leave the room. But and yeah, taking it easy. Was the biggest phrase I think possible. What else I got from what you're saying about the world? The more we discover about the world, the more we shine the light on more things, the more things we feel like we have to know or do or deal with. Whereas it's really coming back to simplicity and enjoyment, and we can enjoy it when it's simple, and that's what our brains are meant for. We just need, I'm just going to go and make a tea, or I'm going to speak to someone about something, and or I don't need to do it all myself. Who can I ask for help around this particular thing? As soon as we realize that we're not meant to just do everything on our own, for instance, is a big thing. And not to be embarrassed, or expect. That's what learn. We expect to be embarrassed about asking for help because we're not good at a thing. It's all in the mind, but it's only in the moment they might be not as good as you could be at that thing, and how to learn it, and how to ask for, asking for help is so important when there's things we want to achieve or get better at or anything.
I would also flip that as well. It is very important, because I think we're talking a lot around focusing on oneself, how to look after ourselves, and that's really important. But also when we look at some of the challenges are when people try to do the right thing and try to offer help, often it's dismissed. We may dismiss it because it's not the right moment. My dyslexia, when I got the diagnosis at 21 at university as a mature student, the things they tried to help me with didn't work, and therefore I decided I wasn't dyslexic enough. So I think we also need to get better at offering help more often and getting better at accepting help when it's offered. Do you know what I mean? And so we just need more of these things, rather than we tend to, you may catch up with somebody and you go, how you doing? And that's your offer of help. Well, immediately they're going to go, yeah, I'm great. Like, it's tipping down outside, there's thunder, there's lightning, the electric's broke, they've got this project they need to deliver, and they're telling you life is great. Yeah, it's great. Because all you've done is that first intro is how are you? And that then is your measure of how that person is. And it's not a true measure. That how are you probably has to come several times through the conversation. And then a real honest, I really want to know how you are. And seriously, there's a number of things that you have mentioned there. I could help with that, or that. Not just, is there anything I can help with? And then we've got to be ready, because we're going to hear it more often and used to. I know what real help, when somebody is offering real help, what that looks like and what that sounds like and how it feels, and therefore I'll be ready to accept it. So I think there is a two-way thing here, and we need to find ways of helping managers, leaders to get better at this. So this is just something I've been thinking a lot more about recently as well, because there's too much silence that goes on around this until somebody's really hurt. And it's at that point that often help it's not going to go far enough or deep enough to really rectify the trauma or the issues that are at hand.
Yeah, it's what you said there around the how you doing thing, how you doing factor. That's exactly the only phrase I knew what to say at a party. Unless I was DJing at the party, which meant that I could sort of be in my space, I could self-express, and people would go, oh, I like what you're playing, and that would be my non-verbal communication around what I like and what I do. Then people would come up and talk to me. That would be my safe space, because I just felt completely unable to come up with words, come up with conversation. If someone was talking, I could just listen. That's great, but I feel so out of bounds. Just my one phrase, I just go up to people and go, how's it going? And then hopefully they would be someone that could just talk. And that would be it. So that's really funny that you bring that up, and how it's a start. It's got to be a start. But yeah, it's really interesting how that happened for years, and there was no sort of necessarily progress, because I was keeping to what I'm good at. It's really good to do what you're good at, and to be in your space of creative, like repeating things that you're good at reinforces really good things in the brain. Meditation, but it's the stepping through into something new or different is in a manageable, containable, simple steps way is the bit that means that we can actually get some progress going on. And that is exactly how we can start breaking down what you're saying about when things start to feel like it's getting too late, and there's laid down the trauma or whatever the story is that has the interpretation in the story that came from a particular event, and then that's stuck with us, and it becomes more of a mental muscle weight that's just really heavy to lift. And how do we unwind some of that, or at least look at it and see what's possible to work. And that's that thing of small steps. And it's just, sometimes things shift as soon as we have a big realization. Sometimes we just need to work through it slowly, but it's seeing what's possible. Again, just keep looking for what's possible.
So it's unlocking hidden abilities is what I'm hearing, because they're there, they just need to be unlocked. And sometimes you need the support of others to be able to unlock those hidden abilities. It's also, don't underestimate the power and value of what you have to offer. And you may underestimate that because you may just always, use a particular phrase or whatever, when really, if you've got a toolkit, a toolbox, which, let's face it, lots of people in public eye, that's what they have. They have a toolkit, a toolbox. For the Queen, speaking to a little child, it'd always be, what school do you go to, for example? And then it would be a couple of other pieces that would go from that, So we can look at people and think they're of high status, high value, great in public role, speak to people really well. But in actual fact, these are people who've had the support from others to develop a toolkit to better connect with who they are, what they're good at, where their strengths are, and then what can give them strength in a particular given situation, which is where you come in. So what's the future for you, Rory? As we kind of wrap this up, what's going to happen next? What are you up to, basically?
Yeah, so I'm going to put on a summit called the Unique Learning Ability Show, which is going to be an exploration around this term, because it's something that I have an idea around about what we can do to find out what's possible to change in brains, whether they're going from very neurotypical, because someone might be stuck in neurotypical. It's not about labeling. It's about reference pointing and going, what we've got here, okay, and then it's just how do we make the best humans possible. So that's like all the way through neurotypical, neurodiverse to neurodivergent, and obviously can't say that things can definitely change in a particular way, but what we can do is apply functional thinking, functional feeling, and I just want to explore people that have learned particular skills that have helped people with neurodiversity, because that's a kind of the area between strongly neurodivergent and strongly neurotypical. So it's this kind of that I'm really interested in that area, because it's a bit more wider perspective on how we can see if there's patterns that work in general, rather than trying to be really niche on all of the different ones straight away. Because I do believe that if there's some things that are missing in the world, information, simple information, like just mental fitness, working on mental fitness, like working with someone, working on yourself, and that's information, mentorship. What do I need to know that changes things? What do I need to work on myself to go away and do stuff? And what coaching do I need in order to keep the ball rolling so I don't fall off the wagon on it all? And so those three elements I think are really important. And sometimes, obviously, if something's really, really stuck or there's a massive problem, then obviously what therapy is needed. And that's not what I'm focusing on. If someone's got to deal with some trauma, or there's real, and they need help with intervention, then that's obviously really important first and foremost. But then once we're back on baseline ground, how do we inspire a unique learning ability and see what's possible to change? And that's what my summit is. It's really looking at learning challenges and how to thrive with confidence, stability, and productivity, which I think everyone, even though they don't go, I want to thrive with this and that when they wake up, but that's kind of what will, I think, bring happiness and performance to their lives as well. So that's what I'm inspired by. I want to speak to as many experts around these fields and see what comes up for them, so we can get a unique definition and a roadmap going forwards for understanding our unique learning ability. And therefore, I'm launching the first summit on October the 12th, and it's all in the setup process right now. So that's all I have is the date, but it's going to be launching, and you don't need lots of time. But if anyone's interested, then you can be in contact, and I can send you the registration page for it.
Brilliant. And digital event online?
Yes, yeah, it's all online. Yeah.
So theoretically, given the right time zone, anyone in the world can come along and attend.
And it's a free event. So the whole point is to create a space of learning and sharing. And then if anyone wants to actually if someone's really, really interested in this content, then they can pay for keeping the videos.
Brilliant. Good stuff. Okay, fantastic. Well, we'll make sure we share links as and when you've got them all and we're ready. And thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a real pleasure. Excited to see the work that you're going to be doing, Rory, and to see the event. So good luck. And if anybody wants to contact you, Rory, directly, there'll be a link on LinkedIn that I'll include in the episode intro.
Wonderful.
Thanks again, Rory.
Awesome, Theo. Thank you so much.